Are you safe, Peanut? What's happening?
Daddy, come now. 3 little boys are hiding under my cape. They're hungry.
Denver, first snow hisses on the sidewalks. Adrian Cole, brilliant CEO and single dad, leaves a pre-IPO meeting as his phone buzzes. Sky whispers, breath fogging. Daddy, come now. 3 boys are hiding under a thrift shop cape. They're hungry. Security says they stole leftovers. At the shop, 3 beanies, blue, red, green, stitched with his old logo. Coincidence, or the past calling? Would you walk away? Denver wears its first winter like a quiet warning. Flurries drift past the high windows of the boardroom, gray sky pressed close, breath turning to fog on the glass when someone laughs too hard. On the wall, a transit risk heat map pulses in amber and blue. Supply lines, storm alerts. The IPO deck hums on the screen, numbers clean and convincing. Adrian Cole sits forward, hands steepled, listening and not listening at once. His phone vibrates at 3:06. The screen shows a photo of Sky with a paper crown, cheeks pink from some second-grade parade. He excuses himself with a nod and steps into the hallway where the heat is lower and the air smells faintly of snow. "Hey, Peanut." Her voice is a whisper, breath quick, little puffs. "Daddy, come now. I'm at Thistle and Thread, the coat drive place. 3 little boys are hiding under a choir cape I'm trying on. They're hungry. The mall security guy says they stole leftovers." He presses his thumb into the knot of his tie, tightens and loosens, grounds himself. "Are you safe?" "I'm by the counter." The manager's hand is shaking. The guard keeps saying, "policy," like it's a bad word. "Put me on speaker and tuck the phone in your coat pocket," he says, calm because she needs him gentle. "Step back from the cape. Tell the manager I'm on my way. If the guard talks to you, you say, 'Please wait for my dad.'" A pause, a rustle of fabric. "Okay, please be fast." "I'm already moving." He turns back to the boardroom, opens the door just enough for his voice to carry. "Resume without me." Heads swivel. Mei Nakamura, their general counsel, studies his face and reads it instantly. No questions, only a crisp tilt of her chin that says, "We've got this." He holds her gaze a heartbeat longer. Family overrides optics. Elevator doors close him in with his reflection. Dark hair cut neat, glasses catching the ceiling lights, a man dressed to convince strangers that he can predict a city. His watch hand sweeps past 3:07. He thinks of Sky at 7, small and fearless, and how often she sees the world as puzzles she can fix with 2 hands and a good plan. On the ground floor, the lobby breathes cold. He texts Luis Ortega as he strides through the glass doors into the flurry, heading to Thistle and Thread. Mall security hassling minors. Quiet presence requested. No uniforms. "Copy," Luis replies. "2 men's behind you." Snow scratches the windshield as he slides into his SUV. He pulls into traffic, wipers whispering, the heater slow to catch up. The word leftovers echoes. His company builds systems that route yesterday's bread and today's trimmed produce to the places that need them, anonymized and fast. Cold rooms to warm kitchens, dignity in motion. He thinks of all the reports he has signed, the maps he has blessed, the algorithms he has corrected for bias and delay. How is it possible for a child to be accused of stealing scraps in the same city that praises his surplus network? A memory stirs. 5 winters ago, his team boxed hundreds of knitted beanies for a charity drive. He approved the design himself because it felt like a promise kept. Blue, red, green, a small logo stitched low and neat. He has not thought of those hats in years. The recollection lands and then floats away, half-formed like snow that refuses to stick. Red lights, then a right turn onto a street lined with strip malls and bare trees. A banner for the Winter Coat Drive sags from 2 hooks, damp with flurries. Thistle and Thread sits between a dollar bookstore and a shuttered nail salon. its window painted with a clumsy snowman whose grin wobbles. He can see the blurred shapes of people inside, movement without meaning through frost. He puts the SUV in park and sits one breath longer, palms pressed to the wheel. He imagines Sky's small shoulders squared. He imagines 3 boys under a velvet cape, one of them trying not to shiver so the others can pretend this is a game. He hears his own father's voice from years back, a lesson that stuck. If you can help, you do. If you can't, you find someone who can. But first, you show up. He steps into the cold. The air bites at the edges of his lungs, keeps him present. He tucks his phone into his coat, pockets the keys, and quickens his pace. The bell over the thrift store door is the gentle kind that belongs to warm places. It chimes once, then once more, as he pushes inside and brings the winter with him. The bell jingles once more behind him as the door shuts. Warmth hits his face, stale and sweet with candle wax and fabric softener. A nervous shop manager stands near the counter, clutching a clipboard like a shield. The mall security guard, young, tense, shifts his weight beside her. Across the room, under the fluorescent hum, Sky stands frozen in a red velvet pageant cape. The hem of the cape ripples oddly near her ankles, as if the fabric hides something that dares not breathe. "Sir, this is private property," the guard begins, defensive by reflex. Adrian lifts a calm hand. "I'm here for my daughter." His voice, low and controlled, diffuses tension without needing to raise volume. Let's take a breath before we frighten children who clearly haven't eaten. The guard hesitates, uneasy under the weight of authority that doesn't need a badge. Sky darts forward, gripping her father's sleeve, whispering, "They're scared, Daddy. They didn't do anything." He kneels, meeting her eye. "I know. You did the right thing calling me." Then he straightens, turning to the manager. "I'll cover any losses. Whatever was taken, consider it handled." The manager exhales in relief, nodding. It was just half a tray of leftover sandwiches from the cafe next door. They didn't even finish them. Adrian's tone softens. "Then there's no problem." He turns to the cape. "May I see who's under there?" Sky hesitates, then lifts the velvet hem carefully. 3 small faces blink back, pale from cold, cheeks streaked with dust. The boys emerge slowly, each wearing a knitted beanie, one blue, one red, one green. Adrian's gaze catches on the stitching near the edges. A small embroidered logo, his company's snowflake and signal design from their first charity drive 5 winters ago. He'd signed off on those patterns himself. Thousands of them handed to shelters, clinics, and food banks. But seeing them here, on these children, feels like a message written by time. The oldest, Jonah, the one in the blue beanie, stands in front, trying to look brave. "We didn't mean to take," he murmurs. His voice is soft but clear. "We just thought they'd throw it away." Adrian crouches to meet his eyes. "What's your name?" "Jonah," the boy says, chin lifting slightly. "These are my brothers, Eli and Theo." Eli, the one in red, blurts, "We were just hungry. You can arrest me, but not them." His lip trembles, but his stance is fierce. Adrian studies him for a beat. This boy, defending with nothing but courage, and shakes his head. "No one's getting arrested, not today." Theo, clutching a small rubber dinosaur in both hands, peers up. "You smell like the coffee shop near the big glass building," he says, unfiltered curiosity shining. Sky stifles a laugh. "That's because I drink too much coffee," Adrian replies gently. "Would you like something warm to eat?" The boys glance at one another, unsure if it's a trap. Jonah answers carefully. "If we pay later." "You don't have to," Adrian says. He pulls out his phone and calls a nearby cafe. 3 bowls of tomato soup, 3 grilled cheese, 1 hot chocolate with extra marshmallows, and 1 peppermint tea, he orders quietly. Deliver to Thistle and Thread, please. Charge it to Coal Systems. The guard fidgets near the exit. Sir, if this is all settled, Adrian nods toward him. Thank you for your concern. I'll take it from here. The man leaves quickly, muttering something about paperwork. Silence returns, broken only by the hum of the heater and the faint sound of Sky rearranging donated mittens. When the food arrives, Adrian lets the boys eat without pressure. He watches how they share automatically, as if they've practiced rationing. Jonah waits for the others to finish before touching his sandwich. Eli pushes crusts toward Theo, and Theo breaks a marshmallow in half to give to Sky. Adrian feels something twist in his chest. Hunger has a rhythm, he thinks. You can hear it in how they chew. Slow, grateful, guarded. He tries conversation. Where's your mom, boys? Jonah answers. At work. Eli adds, She sleeps weird hours. Theo mumbles, The fridge is empty a lot. Sky quietly unwraps her own granola bars and slides them across the table. They're chocolate chip, the good kind, she says. Jonah hesitates. You sure? Yeah, Sky insists. My dad says food tastes better when you share it. Adrian's composure falters for a heartbeat. That's something he used to say to Sky's mother, before everything changed. He clears his throat. Do you boys live nearby? The shop manager looks up from behind the counter. I think they stay in the building across Cherry Avenue. Seen them coming from there before. Adrian nods slowly, the thought already forming. Names, addresses, unseen threads. He glances at Sky. We're going to walk them home, okay? Just to make sure they're safe. She nods, solemn. Can we bring the leftover soup? Yes, he says, and his voice softens into something almost unfamiliar. Let's bring the soup. As they step out into the cold again, the snow has thickened, fluttering against the streetlights. 3 small boys walk between Adrian and his daughter, 4 tiny silhouettes in mismatched winter clothes. The blue, red, and green beanies glow faintly under the yellow lamps, bright against the gray. Adrian watches their steps on the pavement, all different lengths, but moving together. He doesn't know why, but something inside him insists. These boys are leading him somewhere he was always meant to go. By the time they reach Cherry Avenue, the sky has settled into that pewter color that swallows the last light of afternoon. The snow flurries thicken, swirling around the street lamps like ghosts of breath. Adrian's shoes crunch against the salted pavement as he walks beside the boys and Sky, carrying the brown paper bag of leftover soup and sandwiches. Jonah walks a few steps ahead. Blue beanie pulled low over his ears, glancing back every few seconds to make sure his brothers are still there. Eli hums under his breath, stomping on patches of ice just to hear them crack. Theo, the smallest, clings to Sky's hand, the rubber dinosaur peeking from his mittened fist. Adrian studies their coordination, the way Jonah automatically positions himself nearest to traffic, the way Eli checks Theo's scarf without being told. It's a survival choreography born of experience, not instruction. At the corner, the thrift shop manager's directions lead them to an aging brick building wedged between a laundromat and a boarded cafe. The buzzer panel is half broken, names faded to smudges. The boys don't ring. Jonah just walks up the narrow stairwell, tapping a rhythm against the railing. 2 knocks, pause, 1 knock, pause, 2 again. That's the code, Eli says softly. So Mama knows it's us. Adrian's throat tightens. Every instinct in him says this isn't just a check-in. It's a doorway into something heavier. The hallway smells of detergent and cold dust. Fluorescent lights flicker overhead. Sky keeps her fingers wrapped around Theo's hand, whispering encouragements. When they stop at the end of the corridor, Jonah raises his fist and repeats the pattern on a weathered door. The lock clicks. Riley Hart stands framed in the doorway, thinner than he remembers but unmistakable. Her hair is a little darker, tied back hastily. her face pale with the kind of fatigue that lives behind the eyes. She blinks once, twice, like she's not sure he's real. "Adrian!" Her voice catches halfway between disbelief and panic. "What are you? How did you—" He exhales, steady but edged. "Your sons found my daughter." The words hang there, frost between them. The boys slip past her into the apartment instinctively, like birds returning to a nest. Riley steps aside, her hand trembling as she grips the door frame. Inside, the apartment is neat but stripped to essentials. A couch with frayed edges, a foldable table, 2 mismatched chairs, and a small heater ticking in the corner. The fridge hums faintly, its light revealing a lonely carton of milk and a few apples rolling in the drawer. Sky sets the paper bag on the table. "We brought soup," she says softly, as though announcing good news to fragile air. Riley closes her eyes for a moment. "Thank you, sweetheart." She crouches to Theo's level, brushing snowflakes from his hair. "Did you cross the street safely?" "Yes, Mama," he whispers. "Mr. Adrian helped." At that, she glances back toward him. "You didn't have to." "I did," Adrian interrupts, his tone low. "You disappeared, Riley. No calls, no emails, no word. And now I find you here, with 3 boys wearing my company's beanies." Her lips part, but no answer comes right away. He steps closer, lowering his voice. "Tell me the truth. Are they mine?" The air goes still, only the hum of the heater filling the pause. Riley's eyes glisten but don't spill. "You deserve the truth," she says finally, voice shaking, "but not in front of them." She sends the boys and Sky to wash their hands and warm up in the bedroom. When the door clicks shut, she leans against the counter, fingers gripping its edge like an anchor. "When I left the company, it wasn't about you," she begins quietly. "I was trying to get away from someone else, my ex. You remember what I told you back then? The stalking, the debts, the threats?" Adrian nods slowly. "He came after me again," she continues. "I changed names, jobs, everything. When I found out I was pregnant, 3 at once, it didn't feel like a blessing. It felt like a target painted on us all. I couldn't risk you or Sky getting pulled into his mess. So I disappeared." The confession lands like a weight between them. Adrian's voice is controlled but frayed. "You kept my sons from me." "I kept them safe," she says, tears finally breaking loose. "It wasn't right, but it was the only thing I knew." He stares at the floor, jaw tight, breath coming slow. Then he looks up, and his voice is quieter, dangerously calm. "We're doing a paternity test. Today. For the law. And for me." Riley wipes her cheeks, nodding without fight. "All right. Not tomorrow," he adds. "Now." She looks at him then, really looks, and for the first time in years, sees the same man who used to bring her late-night coffee during testing sessions, eyes soft even when exhausted. He hasn't changed much, just the weight behind his posture, the way success has wrapped around his grief. "You still move like a man trying not to break things," she says faintly. "Some things still break anyway," he replies. The bedroom door opens. The boys reappear, hopeful, expectant. Sky holds Theo's hand like a promise. "Where are we going?" Jonah asks. Adrian glances at Riley, waiting. She straightens, brushing her hair back. "We're going to make sure everything's right," she tells them gently. "Mr. Adrian's going to help." Outside, the snow has stopped falling. The city glows faintly through fog, hushed, waiting. As they step out, Adrian catches Riley's reflection in a window. Eyes wary, shoulders squared. She's still the same woman who once believed in building something that could make the world safer. Only now, she's trying to survive inside it. The drive to the clinic is quiet, the kind of silence that hums louder than words. Snow drifts sideways in the headlights as Adrian's SUV cuts through downtown Denver. Sky sits between Jonah and Theo in the back seat, passing a granola bar down the row. Riley rides in the passenger seat, fingers tracing the condensation on the window like she's afraid to leave fingerprints on the moment. Adrian glances at her once, then again, careful not to push. He recognizes the way she's folded herself inward, arms close, breath shallow, like someone bracing for a collision she can't avoid. DNA Diagnostics is open until 7, he says finally, keeping his voice low. May will meet us there to handle paperwork. Riley nods, eyes still on the glass. You still have May. She's saved me more times than I can count, he replies. She's family now. Riley lets out a faint, humorless laugh. You always made people feel like they belonged. He doesn't answer. He doesn't trust his voice not to crack. When they arrive, May Nakamura is already waiting by the entrance, wrapped in a wool coat, her posture as steady as the law itself. Mr. Cole, she greets with her usual precision. Ms. Hart. Her tone softens. Human beneath the formality. Let's get this done as simply as possible. The clinic smells faintly of antiseptic and coffee. The nurse takes cheek swabs with quiet professionalism. The triplets sit side by side on the examination bench. Jonah serious, Eli defiant, Theo clutching his dinosaur. When it's over, Adrian crouches beside them. You did great, he says, handing them each a small sticker from the counter. No one likes tests, but sometimes they tell us things we need to know. Theo looks up, curious. Like what? Adrian hesitates, then answers carefully. Like where we come from, and who we belong to. Riley stands near the doorway, arms crossed. The weight of her choice, 4 years of silence, presses down like gravity. When the nurse leaves with the samples, May steps forward. Results in 48 hours. Expedited? I'll handle confidentiality. Her gaze shifts between them. Do you want me to set temporary measures? Adrian nods. Yes, food, rent, and security coverage. Riley straightens, defensive. That's not necessary. It's not charity, Adrian interrupts softly. It's my responsibility. May produces a tablet, screen glowing. I've drafted a short-term arrangement. You'll both sign. It allows Mr. Cole to provide assistance while protecting your autonomy, Ms. Hart. Riley studies the document, tension in her shoulders easing slightly as she scrolls. In my name, she murmurs. You thought of that? Always, May replies. When the signing is done, the clock on the wall reads 6:42. The snow outside has turned to fine mist. May leaves to file the paperwork. Adrian turns to Riley. Let me drive you home, he says. You already did, she replies quietly, but thank you. He opens his mouth to argue, then closes it. You don't trust me yet. I get it. It's not about trust, she says, folding her coat tighter. It's about remembering what happens when someone finds us. He understands that too well. Then let me make sure no one does. Riley's eyes narrow slightly, measuring the offer. You'd really put people on us? Security? Discreetly, he says, until I know you're safe. She shakes her head, half in disbelief, half in fatigue. You don't even know if they're yours. Adrian looks through the glass wall toward the boys. They're sitting together on a bench, sharing a pack of crackers Sky gave them, whispering about who gets the last one. I know, he murmurs, but I can't look at them and do nothing. For a moment, something in Riley's expression softens, the same look she used to give him years ago when they worked late at the office, testing early prototypes of his AI models, back when she still believed in people's better instincts. Fine, she says at last. 1 week. Thank you, he says quietly. May will coordinate everything tonight. They leave the clinic together. The boys huddle in their coats, snow catching in the seams of their beanies, blue, red, green, bright against the gray night. At Riley's apartment, Adrian carries a box of groceries up the stairs. Cereal, soup, fruit, milk. The refrigerator hums louder as it fills, as though relieved. Riley lingers near the door, unsure how to say thank you without surrendering pride. He senses it and speaks first. This isn't about owing me, Riley. It's about 3 kids who shouldn't go to bed hungry again. She nods once. I'll find work soon. UX projects, maybe remote ones. I just need time. You'll have it, he says. I'll make sure of that. Her voice turns brittle. Don't make promises you'll regret later. He studies her for a long moment. I regret enough already. Outside, the wind sharpens, scattering snow across the streetlights. The triplets press their faces to the window as Adrian heads for his car, their breath fogging the glass. Sky waves from the sidewalk, then looks up at her father. They look like us when we wait for pancakes. He smiles faintly. Yeah, they do. Are they really my brothers? She asks. He hesitates. We'll know soon. As they drive away, Sky leans against her seat, watching the building grow smaller in the rearview mirror. Inside, 3 small figures wave back, one blue, one red, one green. Adrian doesn't realize until much later that the color pattern, their rhythm of presence, has already settled in his memory like a heartbeat. The next morning, Denver wakes under a dull silver sky. Snowmelt streaks the sidewalks, turning the city into a mirror of half-formed reflections. Inside his penthouse kitchen, Adrian stands over the espresso machine, the hum of steam masking the quiet churn of thoughts he hasn't yet named. Sky sits at the counter, drawing on a napkin. 3 little stick figures wear colored hats, blue, red, and green, and hold hands under falling snow. That's them, she says matter-of-factly. Jonah, Eli, and Theo. They said they never had pancakes before. Daddy. Adrian's hand freezes mid-motion. Never? She shakes her head, her eyes full of certainty that makes him ache. We should fix that. He nods absently, turning off the espresso machine. Pancakes. A simple word. A childhood ritual his daughter never questioned having. His phone buzzes. May's message concise as always. Paternity samples delivered. Expect confirmation within 48 hours. Security coverage established discreetly at Riley's address. He types back, Thank you. Keep it low profile. No media leaks. May replies instantly. Already handled. Riley's building under silent watch. Luis has eyes on Whitlow. At the name, Adrian's jaw tightens. Cal Whitlow, the predator in the background. He's read enough reports to understand the kind of man Riley described. Debt collector, intimidation artist, someone who thrived on cornering those without backup. Not this time, he thinks. He glances toward Sky. Hey, Peanut, how about pancakes for 4 this weekend? Her grin widens. 4 means them? He nods. If their mom says it's okay. Later that morning, he stops by Riley's apartment. He knocks once, twice, then steps back. The door opens cautiously. Riley stands there in a thick sweater, eyes tired but clearer than yesterday. You didn't have to come, she says, though her tone lacks conviction. I did, he answers. You said you wanted to find work again. I brought some options. He hands her a tablet displaying a list of freelance UX contracts through an internal company portal. Remote, flexible hours, no corporate exposure. She scrolls briefly, surprise flickering across her face. These are real offers? Yes, and before you ask, no one's doing you a favor. They're open postings. You earned this skill set. She exhales slowly, a mix of relief and disbelief. You think of everything, don't you? Not everything, he admits, eyes lowering. If I had, I wouldn't be 5 years late. Her lips part, but before she can answer, a voice interrupts. "Mommy, we're hungry." Jonah peers from behind her leg. Adrian kneels to his level. "Morning, Jonah. You like pancakes?" Jonah tilts his head, wary. "Never had one." Riley looks embarrassed. "We, stick to cereal. Easier." "Then come over tomorrow," Adrian says gently. "You and your brothers. Sky insists." Riley blinks. "Just like that?" "Just like that." She hesitates, torn between fear and a flicker of something warmer. "We'll see." As he stands to leave, she calls after him. "Adrian, thank you." He looks back. "Don't thank me yet." That night, snow begins to fall again, thick and heavy, muffling the city in silence. Adrian can't sleep. He sits in his office, staring at an old photo on his desk, a charity event from 5 years ago. Riley is there, half smiling, surrounded by volunteers. And on the table beside her, a stack of knitted beanies, blue, red, green. He remembers how she teased him then. "You're too hands-on for a CEO." "Details matter," he'd said. "Even stitches." He closes his eyes, realizing how those details have looped back, threading him into a story he never knew was unfinished. The next afternoon, May calls. Her voice is calm, deliberate, but something beneath it trembles slightly. "Adrian, the test results are in. Would you like me to send them encrypted or deliver in person?" "In person," he says immediately. "And bring Riley." By evening, they meet at his office, a space of glass and quiet power overlooking the snow-swept skyline. Riley arrives with the boys, bundled tight, eyes flicking nervously around the room filled with screens and city light. May hands over the sealed envelope. Adrian's hand doesn't shake as he opens it, but his breathing slows. One line stands out, stark and final. Paternity confirmed. Probability 99.9%. He lowers the paper slowly. The room blurs. Riley watches him, her expression unreadable. "You have your answer." He nods once, steady but raw. "Yes." His gaze drifts toward the boys. "Jonah, Eli, Theo. You're my sons." Eli blinks, confusion furrowing his brow. "You mean, like, really?" "Really," Adrian says, his voice rough. "And that means you'll never have to wonder where you belong again." Riley covers her mouth, tears slipping past her fingers. Sky throws her arms around the nearest brother, laughing and crying at once. The sound that fills the room isn't perfect. It's messy, human, full of disbelief and wonder. But it's real. Riley whispers, almost to herself, "What do we even do now?" Adrian exhales a long, trembling breath. "We start over. This time, together." Outside, snow begins again, softer now, like a benediction falling from a gray sky that finally lets in light. 2 days later, Denver glows under weak winter sun. The snowbanks are crusted with ice, sidewalks shining like mirrors as Adrian parks outside a quiet duplex near Cheeseman Park. Inside, light spills through tall windows, an address May found within 24 hours of the DNA confirmation. It's safe, discreet, and close enough for the boys to see Sky's school from their window. Riley stands beside him now, arms folded, scanning the place as if waiting for the catch. "You're sure this isn't one of your penthouses dressed down?" Adrian smiles faintly. "Not everything I touch turns to marble, Riley. This was one of our company's transitional rentals. Fully paid for, in your name, for as long as you need." She steps inside cautiously, eyes tracing the living room. A clean sofa, modest rug, a kitchen that smells faintly of new wood polish. There's warmth here, the kind that doesn't scream ownership, only peace. "I don't want charity," she says finally. "It's not charity," Adrian replies gently, closing the door behind them. "It's a safety plan. Food cards, health coverage, utilities prepaid. Luis and his team will monitor the area quietly. You can build back on your terms. Riley looks at him, her jaw trembling between defiance and relief. You think of everything. I try, he says, and for the first time since finding her, his voice softens. You did what you had to do back then. Now it's my turn. The sound of small footsteps breaks the stillness. The triplets come charging in, scarves half unraveled, Sky right behind them. There's a park, Mommy, Eli calls out, face bright red from the cold, and swings that don't squeak. Theo, clutching his dinosaur, adds, Can we stay forever? Riley kneels and gathers them close, laughing through her tears. We'll see, baby, we'll see. Sky tugs at Adrian's coat. Daddy, can we help them unpack? He chuckles, kneeling beside her. We can. But first, he glances toward Riley. I'd like to discuss something grown up for a minute. Riley straightens, wary. Here it comes. Adrian gestures toward the small table by the window. May sits there already, papers spread neatly, her calm presence grounding the moment. These are temporary agreements, May explains. Joint custody applications, financial coverage, and emergency authority in case of health matters. Nothing binding beyond what you approve. Riley crosses her arms. I don't want his name controlling my life. May nods evenly. Then it won't. These are flexible. You both sign off and either can revise with notice. Adrian leans forward. I'm not here to take anything from you, Riley. I just want stability for them, and for you. She studies him quietly, then sits. And what about you? What does stability look like for a man who lives in headlines? He smiles, small and sad. Lately, it looks like 3 boys in winter hats. That draws a reluctant laugh from her. Fine, let's make this official. May slides the pen across the table. Riley hesitates for only a moment before signing her name, each stroke steady despite the tremor in her hand. Adrian signs after her, his signature looping beneath hers like a vow. When it's done, May gathers the papers. I'll file these today. Congratulations, you've both just agreed to a peaceful coexistence. Let's hope so, Riley murmurs. Later, as May leaves and the children play near the window, Riley moves to the counter to unpack groceries. Adrian joins her, opening a box of cereal. She glances at him sideways. You really think this will work? I think it has to, he says simply. They deserve to see 2 people who try. The tension between them thaws slightly. She exhales. You know, I used to imagine this once, before everything. You, me, late coffee, kids laughing somewhere we could actually breathe. He nods slowly. Then let's not waste the chance we have now. Outside, a car rolls slowly past, tires crunching ice. Riley stiffens instinctively. Adrian notices, moves closer, watching the street. Luisha's unmarked SUV idles 2 doors down, as planned. The safety net holds. Relax, Adrian says softly. You're covered. She closes her eyes briefly, grounding herself. It's hard to believe that. I'll keep proving it until you can, he replies. The afternoon drifts into a quiet routine. Sky helps Theo set up toy dinosaurs along the windowsill, while Jonah methodically arranges books on a shelf. Eli, restless, runs circles around the table until Riley catches him mid-lap, laughing. For the first time, the sound feels like a home being built, not brick by brick, but breath by breath. As Adrian prepares to leave, he pauses at the door. If you need anything tonight, Riley interrupts, half smiling. I know. You'll already have thought of it. He tilts his head, amused. Maybe, but it'd still mean a lot if you called. She doesn't answer, but her eyes soften. He takes that as yes. Outside, he exhales into the cold. His phone buzzes. Luis again. No sign of Whitlow today. Area quiet. We'll rotate coverage overnight. Thank you, Adrian types back. Then he looks up at the windows. 4 silhouettes now. Sky's smaller frame beside 3 little heads in blue, red, and green. He smiles. For the first time in years, the light spilling from that window feels like something worth protecting. 3 mornings later, frost coats the window panes like lace. The duplex hums with life. Cereal bowls clinking, cartoons whispering, Riley humming quietly under her breath as she pours coffee into mismatched mugs. It's the kind of ordinary noise Adrian hasn't heard in years, and when he steps through the door, it feels like time pauses to make room for it. "Daddy," Sky beams, running to him with her usual bright certainty. "They finished their robots." Adrian blinks. "Robots." Eli and Jonah appear from the corner, each holding a small plastic frame wired with colorful LEDs and a repurposed motor from a toy car. Theo trails behind, clutching his dinosaur with one hand and a circuit board with the other. "They built them at my dad's makerspace," Sky explains proudly. "He said we could visit." Riley, standing by the counter, gives Adrian a look halfway between admiration and suspicion. "You took them to your office?" "Only to the creative lab," he says gently. "It's quiet there. They liked the robotics corner." Eli pipes up. "We made one that can follow lines. Jonah did the code. I fixed the wheel." Adrian crouches beside them, eyes bright. "And Theo?" Theo grins shyly. "Mine just waves." Adrian laughs, the sound genuine. That's how all good inventions start. Riley watches, arms folded, fighting a small smile she doesn't quite suppress. For a moment she looks almost peaceful, but peace never lasts long in Adrian's world. May calls mid-morning. He steps aside to answer, voice low. "Yes?" "Adrian, your advisors are pressing again," May says. "They want a PR strategy around the boys. They're worried rumors will start before the IPO." He sighs, rubbing his forehead. "Tell them no. This isn't a press event. It's a family." "You're sure?" May's tone is careful. "Investors like transparency." "I'm sure," he says firmly. "I won't parade my children to boost confidence." When he returns to the kitchen, Riley has guessed enough from his expression. "Work problems?" "IPO nerves," he admits. "The board thinks I should control the narrative." She arches a brow. Translation: turn a personal crisis into a marketing campaign. He smirks ruefully. "You always could read corporate doublespeak." She looks at him then, a trace of the woman he once knew shining through. "And you still can't hide behind it?" They share a brief silence, comfortable this time. The boys argue good-naturedly about robot batteries, Sky giggling between them. Adrian's chest tightens with something close to gratitude. This fragile normalcy that wasn't supposed to exist, but somehow does. By noon, he drives them all to the company campus. Snow gleams off glass facades as they pull into the visitor lot. Inside, employees glance up from their desks, startled to see their CEO walking through with 4 children in tow. In the makerspace, the kids cluster around a long table strewn with gears and code boards. Adrian guides Jonah's hands over the small keyboard. "See? When you change this line, it loops. Programming is just teaching something to repeat kindness." Riley stands nearby, watching the way he kneels to their level, never talking down. She whispers, almost to herself, "You're good with them." He glances up. "I've had to practice with one." Her lips curve. "Seems like you were ready for 4. He laughs softly, shaking his head. "No one's ever ready for 4. Luis Ortega appears at the door, discreet in his gray jacket. Adrian's smile fades, instinct sharpens. Luis gives a brief nod. Later. Adrian understands. Trouble, but not here, not in front of them. The afternoon drifts into laughter and soldering fumes. The boys test their robots across the polished floor while Sky films on her tablet. Riley sits beside Adrian on a bench, and for a fleeting second it feels like the years between them never happened. She murmurs, They adore you already. He keeps his gaze on the children. I don't want them to adore me. I want them to feel safe. You think that's not the same thing? He looks at her finally. Not always. Safety stays when admiration fades. Riley studies his profile, the hard edges softened by light from the window. You talk like a man who's learned too much about losing people. He doesn't deny it. You were the first lesson. Her breath catches. Adrian. Before she can finish, Luis reappears, silent but urgent. Adrian rises, stepping aside. What is it? He asks. Whitlow, Luis says quietly. We have movement. Someone matching his description was spotted near Riley's old job. Asking questions again. Adrian's pulse hardens. Any contact? Not yet, but he's circling. We'll increase surveillance. Adrian nods. Do it quietly, no alarms. When he turns back, Riley is watching, suspicion narrowing her eyes. That was about him, wasn't it? He hesitates, then tells the truth. Yes, but I promise he won't get near you again. She folds her arms. You think money can stop a man like that? No, Adrian says, but strategy can. For a heartbeat, they stare at each other, all the unspoken history suspended between them. Fear, guilt, the old pull neither wanted to name. Then Jonah's voice breaks through. Mom, our robot won the race. Riley exhales, smile breaking through the tension. Good job, sweetheart. Adrian looks at her again, softer this time. Let me handle Whitlow. Her reply is quiet, almost tender. You always did try to fix everything. He smiles faintly. Maybe that's what second chances are for. As evening falls, the city glows gold and blue beyond the glass. Riley gathers the kids, and for once, her shoulders are less rigid. Adrian watches them leave, feeling the shape of something fragile but alive taking root inside him. A family, half-built, half-mended, but real. Still, as the door closes behind them, he knows peace is only temporary. The storm they've outrun isn't done chasing yet. By the end of the week, the city's quiet veneer begins to thin. Snow has turned to slush, gray water pooling along the curbs. At dawn, Adrian wakes to the sound of Sky's soft footsteps padding across his apartment floor. She's clutching her tablet, her face pale in the blue morning light. Daddy, she whispers, you need to see this. He sits up, still half in sleep. What is it? She hands him the screen. On it, an email alert from a business gossip blog. The headline makes his stomach drop. Whispered scandal. Before IPO, CEO Adrian Cole allegedly has secret family. His jaw tightens. He scrolls, grainy photos of him walking with the triplets, one image of Riley leaving his office. The article spins conjecture, cruelty, and numbers in the same breath. Unconfirmed sources suggest financial settlements and hidden dependents. He exhales slowly, fighting the urge to throw the device. Sky, it's okay, he says softly. Don't worry, this isn't your fault. Her voice shakes. But they're saying mean things about Riley and the boys. About you. I'll handle it. By 8 a.m., May's already in his office, her composure steady but her eyes sharp. I'm tracking the source, she says. It's spreading fast. A rival fund might be feeding it to weaken investor confidence before the IPO. Adrian paces the glass floor, anger and disbelief warring in his chest. I told them to keep this private. They didn't get it from us, May assures him. My guess, it came from a security breach. Possibly someone tailing Riley. That word stops him cold. Whitlow. May nods grimly. Luis is checking footage, but yes, it fits. Adrian's voice drops to a growl. We'll shut this down, permanently. Carefully, May cautions. You can't be seen retaliating. He stops pacing, breath ragged. I'm not retaliating. I'm protecting my family. That evening, he drives to Riley's duplex. The lights are dim inside, curtains drawn. She opens the door before he knocks, her expression tight, brittle. So it's true, she says. They know. They don't know anything, he answers. They're guessing. You can't control guessing, she says bitterly. That's the problem with powerful men. You think the truth bends to your will. He flinches. This isn't about power. It's about safety, and we need to talk about the next step. She crosses her arms. And what's that? Disappear again? Pack up? Vanish? Change names? No, Adrian says, his tone steady, firm. We stop running. We go public, but on our terms. She stares at him, disbelief flickering through her exhaustion. Public? Adrian, your company's about to go live on the stock market. They'll tear us apart. He shakes his head. They'll try, but I built this company on transparency. If I hide now, I lose everything. My credibility, my family, my children's safety. We need to own this. She laughs once, hollow. You think the public cares about truth? They care about spectacle. He steps closer, eyes locking with hers. Then we'll give them something better than spectacle. We'll give them integrity. Behind them, small voices interrupt. Mom. Jonah peeks out, holding Theo's hand. Why are you sad? Riley crouches quickly, forcing a smile. I'm not, sweetheart. Just tired. Eli tugs on Adrian's sleeve. Are we in trouble? Adrian kneels to meet his eyes. Not at all, he says softly. You're brave boys, and I'm proud of you. The boys nod, uncertain but comforted by his calm tone. Riley stands, her defenses cracking under fatigue. If you're serious about going public, she says quietly, you can't just protect yourself. You protect them first. I will, he promises. Every move, every statement, will make it about hope, not scandal. She studies him for a long, searching moment. And if it backfires? He exhales. Then we deal with it together. 2 days later, Adrian stands behind the podium at a press conference broadcast across Denver. Cameras click like static rain. His company logo gleams behind him. Cole Systems, the AI firm that built the city's emergency routing infrastructure. He adjusts the microphone, voice calm but weighted. There's been speculation about my personal life. Here's the truth. I have 4 children I love deeply. I'm proud to be their father. And the family we're building isn't a secret. It's a second chance. Gasps ripple through the room. He continues, steady as stone. 5 years ago, my company ran a winter charity drive. Food, coats, beanies. That initiative has now evolved into something new. Winter Link. It's an AI network that routes surplus meals to shelters and community hubs. The goal? No child in this city should ever have to steal leftovers again. Flashbulbs explode. Journalists murmur. Somewhere in the front row, May watches, her face unreadable but proud. Riley and the boys stand off camera, unseen but close. Sky holds Theo's hand, whispering, "That's my dad." The conference ends with quiet applause, the rare kind born not of spectacle, but sincerity. Adrian steps off the stage, breath trembling in his chest. When he reaches Riley, she's staring at him, stunned. You didn't say my name, she says softly. I didn't need to, he replies. You deserve peace, not headlines. Her eyes shine, a rare mix of gratitude and sorrow. You just turned a scandal into a cause. He smiles faintly. No, you and the boys did that. I just followed your lead. Outside, snow begins to fall again. Soft flakes catching on the light poles like ash turn to grace. The storm that once threatened to destroy them now feels like something else entirely, a curtain parting for a quieter story. Still, he knows danger lingers in the corners, because men like Cal Whitlow don't vanish when spotlights fade. They wait in the shadows, ready to reclaim what they think is theirs. But tonight, Adrian lets himself breathe. For once, truth didn't break them. It built something new. The snow has crusted to ice again, hard and glittering in the pale light that follows the storm. Denver feels briefly still, as though even the city needs to catch its breath. But stillness, Adrian knows, can be deceptive. It's the silence before a crack forms under pressure. He's in the car with Luis Ortega that morning, driving toward Riley's duplex. The hum of the engine fills the space between them. Luis glances over. "You sure you want to see this footage yourself?" "I need to," Adrian says, his tone clipped. "I want to know if he's been near them." Luis taps the dash display. "This was from last night. 2 passes down Cherry Avenue, same vehicle. Driver matches Cal Whitlow's description." Adrian stares at the screen, a blurry freeze frame of a pale sedan idling under a streetlight. The angle hides the plate, but the face is unmistakable. Narrow jaw, predatory smirk, Cal Whitlow, the man Riley fled from, the ghost that refused to stay gone. "Has he approached her?" Adrian asks. "Not yet. He's testing the perimeter. Pattern suggests he's scouting her routes. School drop-offs, corner markets." Adrian exhales through his nose, the tension in his shoulders tightening to steel. "He's escalating." Luis nods. He's not subtle anymore. At Riley's duplex, sunlight slices through the blinds. Riley's sorting laundry, the ordinary rhythm grounding her nerves. The boys are sprawled on the rug, drawing dinosaurs and robots, Sky helping Theo trace his tiny T-Rex. The doorbell rings once and her pulse spikes until Adrian's voice calls, "It's me." She exhales, unlocking the door. "You can't just show up without warning. I know." He lifts a placating hand. "I needed to talk in person." Her expression softens slightly. "You look like you haven't slept." He steps inside, brushing snow from his coat. "Neither have you." "What happened?" He glances at the kids. "Let's step outside." They move to the small porch, the cold air bracing enough to sharpen her focus. Adrian explains what Luis found, his words careful but direct. "He's circling again. I can't guarantee he won't make a move." Her arms wrap around herself, reflexive. "I thought this was over." "So did I," he says quietly. "But men like him don't stop when you ignore them. They stop when they're forced to." She meets his gaze, fear mixing with defiance. "You're not calling the police?" "Not yet," he says. "A restraining order means going public with his name. It exposes you and the kids. But if we control the setting, if he takes the bait where we can contain him, we get everything on record." Her eyes widen. "You're setting a trap." "I'm planning a controlled confrontation," he corrects. "Public, safe, with law enforcement ready. We pick the ground. He thinks he's in control, but he won't see the net until it's closed." Riley shakes her head slowly. "You really believe you can choreograph justice?" "I believe in preparation," Adrian says. "You taught me that." Her lips press together, caught between admiration and fear. "And what if it goes wrong?" "Then I'm there," he says simply. "You won't be alone this time." The conviction in his tone unsettles her more than any threat. It's not bravado. It's devotion, raw and unguarded. She stares at him, voice low. "You're a CEO, not a cop." He meets her eyes. "I'm a father. The rest is just a title." Inside, Sky's laughter breaks the heaviness. The boys have built a fort out of couch cushions and blankets. Jonah pokes his head out, wearing the blue beanie like a crown. "Mom, look, Castle Cole." Riley smiles despite herself. "Castle Cole, huh?" Adrian kneels to peek inside the fort, grinning. Looks sturdy, good engineering. Theo waves his dinosaur. We're the guards, Eli chimes in. You can't come in unless you say the password. Adrian humors them. What's the password? Jonah whispers dramatically. Family. The word hits him harder than it should. He looks at Riley, sees her eyes glisten before she blinks the tears away. Later that night, in Adrian's office, the team finalizes the plan. Luis unfolds a map of the downtown winter market. Open space, heavy foot traffic, multiple security exits. We set Riley near the heater tower, plainclothes officers positioned within 15 meters. My team will monitor from the perimeter. May, reviewing the paperwork, adds, Protective orders pre-drafted. Once we have clear evidence, I'll file within the hour. Court date prearranged for Monday. Adrian nods. Good. Keep all press off-site. Luis leans back. You're certain she can handle it? She's stronger than she thinks, Adrian replies. And you? May asks quietly. You ready to see him face to face? He exhales, fingers tightening around his pen. I've been ready since the day I found out why she left. Outside the office window, snow begins to fall again. Slow, deliberate, like time giving him one more chance to get this right. The next day, Adrian sits in his car outside Riley's duplex as dawn stretches over the skyline. She steps out, wrapped in a navy coat, hair pulled back, eyes steady. You sure about this? She asks, sliding into the passenger seat. He glances at her, voice calm. It's time to stop hiding. From the back seat, Sky's voice pipes up sleepily. Daddy! He turns, startled. She's half buried in her jacket, blinking awake. You were supposed to stay with May. I wanted to be here, she says softly. For them. For her. Riley smiles faintly at the girl. Your dad's going to give me gray hair. He already has some, Sky teases. Adrian chuckles despite the tension. That's your fault. Riley glances sideways, a ghost of affection flickering in her eyes. You sure it's not the IPO? Could be both, he admits. As they drive toward the winter market, the morning sun glints on the icy streets. The air hums with quiet tension, the sense that something inevitable is finally about to unfold. And beneath it all, Adrian feels the compass of his life finally align. Not toward profit or prestige, but protection. Today, the man who built systems to keep strangers safe will have to prove he can do the same for the people he loves most. The downtown winter market thrums with life. A fragile piece built on sound and color. Buskers play soft guitar near the cocoa stand, their fingers red from cold. Families move between stalls of pine wreaths, handmade scarves, and jars of cinnamon honey. It's the kind of place that looks harmless, ordinary, exactly what Adrian wanted. Riley sits near the heater tower, a paper cup of cocoa in her hands. The rising steam hides the tremor in her fingers. She wears a dark green coat, hood up, scarf loose enough to show her face. Every move, every breath has been planned. Adrian watches from a distance, 20 yards away, disguised behind a vendor's table of wooden toys. He looks calm, but his earpiece hums with Luis's voice. Target approaching from the east lot. Confirmed visual. Gray sedan. He's alone. Adrian's pulse spikes, but his face remains impassive. Positions, he murmurs. Luis responds. 2 officers in plain clothes ready near the waffle kiosk. Another across the street by the bus stop. We wait until he makes contact. Copy that. Adrian's hand curls inside his pocket. Thumb pressing against the small silver compass keychain he keeps there, a gift from Sky's mother years ago. Find your way back, she'd told him once. He wonders if she'd believe he finally has. Cal Whitlow steps into the crowd like he owns it. The man's bulk fills his coat, shoulders slouched with practiced menace. His eyes scan the booths until they find Riley. A slow grin spreads across his face, a predator savoring the moment before the strike. He strolls toward her, boots grinding the slush, a casual swagger that belies the tension in his frame. Riley senses him before she sees him. The cup trembles in her grip. She straightens her shoulders, forces her breathing steady. "Morning, Riley," Cal drawls, stopping inches from her bench. "You've been hard to find." "Let go," she says immediately, voice clear but shaking. He tilts his head, pretending innocence. "Now, is that any way to talk to an old friend?" "Let go," she repeats, louder now. Cameras positioned discreetly nearby record everything. A passerby slows, sensing trouble. Cal's smirk deepens. "You always were dramatic." Then he reaches out, fingers gripping her forearm, thumb pressing just enough to bruise. Riley's voice cuts through the crowd, strong now. "Let go of me." Heads turn. A few people stop walking. The moment freezes, suspended between silence and outrage. Adrian doesn't wait for the signal. He's already moving. Luisha's voice hisses in his ear. "Hold position." "Too late," Adrian says, striding fast through the crowd. His presence alone shifts the air, the kind of command that needs no badge. Cal turns, startled. "Who the hell?" She said, "Let go." Adrian's tone is low, calm, lethal. Recognition dawns in Cal's eyes. "You," he sneers. "The money man. You think you can buy her back?" Adrian steps closer, his blue eyes cold as glass. "No, but I can make sure you never touch her again." Cal's grip tightens out of spite, his bravado cracking into a snarl. "She owes me. You all owe me." "Not anymore," Adrian says. He nods once, subtle, just enough for Luis to catch it. Within seconds, the two plainclothes officers close in. "Denver PD," one says sharply, flashing his badge. "Hands off the lady." Cal hesitates, fury flashing across his face. "This is a setup." "Keep talking," the officer replies. "Every word's on record." Another officer steps behind him. "You're under arrest for harassment and menacing. Step away, now." Cal's shoulders slump, but his mouth keeps running. "She's lying. They're all lying." Riley stands, voice clear and unwavering. "I don't need to lie. You've been stalking me for 4 years. I'm done being scared." The crowd erupts in murmurs, phones recording, eyes wide. For once, Riley isn't hiding. She stands tall, steady, the woman she was before fear taught her to disappear. Cal's handcuffed within seconds, his protests drowned by the buzz of cameras. Luis intercepts him with quiet authority, ensuring the footage transfers cleanly to evidence storage. Adrian moves to Riley's side, careful not to touch her until she nods. "It's over," he says softly. Her breath shakes. "No, it's finally starting." That night, in May's office, the air feels lighter. The protective order is filed before midnight. Cal Whitlow sits in holding, awaiting charges. Riley signs the last document with steady hands. "So, that's it?" she asks, almost not daring to believe it. May smiles faintly. "For now. The court date will formalize everything Monday morning. You'll be safe until then, and after." Riley glances toward the window where snow is falling again, soft and silent. "I don't know how to say thank you." Adrian stands behind her, his voice gentle. "Don't. Just live." She turns to face him. "You do realize this could have gone wrong in 100 ways?" He nods. But it didn't. A long silence stretches between them, thick with exhaustion, relief, something unspoken. Then Riley takes a shaky breath. "You've done more for us in a week than anyone has in years." Adrian's answer is quiet but certain. "Then we'll keep going. Slowly, safely, together." She looks at him, tears gathering again, but this time they're tears of release, not fear. "You really believe people get second chances?" He glances toward the snow beyond the glass. I'm standing in one. And when she laughs, a soft, cracked sound that carries warmth into the cold room, he knows it's the sound of a chapter closing and a life beginning again. 3 days pass. Denver brightens under a thin blue sky, the air sharp and clean after the storm. For once, the quiet outside matches the quiet inside Riley's duplex, a peace that doesn't feel borrowed or temporary. The kids' laughter trickles from the living room as Adrian stands at the kitchen counter helping Jonah measure flour into a bowl. "Flat scoop, not mountain scoop," Adrian says, steadying Jonah's small hand. "I know," Jonah insists, tongue sticking out in concentration. "Like you showed me." Eli leans across the table, squinting. "We're making pancakes again." Sky grins. "It's tradition now." Theo hums beside her, tapping a wooden spoon against the counter in rhythm with his dinosaur's tail. "Pancake song." Riley watches from the doorway, leaning against the frame. The scene feels too gentle to be real. Her son's laughing, her home filled with warmth instead of whispers. "They've never sat still this long for anything," she murmurs. Adrian looks up, meeting her eyes. Maybe they were waiting for peace. She smiles faintly. "Or sugar." He chuckles, turning back to the bowl. "I'll take either." For a few perfect minutes it's just that. Flour dusting the counter, the smell of the butter warming on the skillet, and the echo of small voices calling dibs on toppings. The domestic ease feels fragile, but earned. Later that afternoon, the conversation turns practical. Riley wipes her hands on a towel, her expression thoughtful. May mentioned something about next steps. Custody, officially. Adrian nods. "I don't want to rush you, but the sooner we set a rhythm, the better for everyone." She pulls out a chair, sits opposite him at the table. "So, how do you picture this rhythm?" He folds his hands. "Shared custody, gradual transitions. I'll make sure the boys have consistency. No abrupt moves, no court surprises. I'd rather we set the tone ourselves before a judge has to." Riley studies him for a long moment. "And you're okay not being the one in control?" He smiles slightly. "For once." "I'm okay being one of two." Her laughter catches him off guard. It's quiet, genuine, free of bitterness. "I never thought I'd hear you say that." Parenthood humbles everyone eventually. "Even CEOs?" "Especially CEOs." They both laugh then, softly, like two people remembering how to. In the following days, shared custody turns into more than a term. It becomes a slow dance. Adrian picks the boys up from preschool 3 times a week, and in the evenings Riley and Sky join for dinner at his apartment overlooking the skyline. The kids call it 2 homes, 1 big roof. Sky invents what she proudly names Big Sister Missions. Each mission pairs her with one brother. Blue Mission, Jonah. Puzzle Day, where they race to finish a 100-piece map of the world. Red Mission, Eli. Parkour class, which mostly involves jumping off furniture with wild whoops until Adrian intervenes. Green Mission, Theo. Dino Museum, complete with an improvised tour and Sky's dramatic narration about prehistoric friendship. Riley films snippets on her phone, laughter spilling through the audio. Every clip feels like an exhale the universe owed her. One evening, as they tuck the kids in at Adrian's place, Riley lingers by the door. "They're adapting faster than I thought." He nods, voice low. "Children always lead the way. We're the ones who lag behind." Her gaze drifts over the quiet room, the soft glow of a nightlight, the sound of even breathing. "You know," she says, "I used to tell myself that disappearing was the only way to protect them. But watching this," she gestures toward the sleeping triplets, "maybe safety isn't just hiding. Maybe it's belonging somewhere again." He studies her profile in the dim light. You built that belonging, he says softly. I'm just helping keep the walls steady. She smiles, eyes glistening. You're still talking like an engineer. He chuckles. Guilty. Outside, snow begins to fall again, light as ash. From the balcony, Adrian and Riley stand side by side, silent for a long moment. Down below, the city hums with quiet energy, lights shimmering against the fresh dusting of white. Riley folds her arms against the cold. I forgot how beautiful Denver can be when you stop running. He turns to her. Then stop. Her breath catches, visible in the night air. It's not that simple. Maybe it is, he says. At least tonight. For a moment, neither moves. The world narrows to soft snow, soft light, and the sound of steady breathing. Riley looks up at him finally. You're not the man I left. I'd hope not, Adrian replies quietly. That man was brilliant and blind. This one, still brilliant, hopefully, but learning to see. Her laughter breaks the tension, quiet but real. You haven't changed that much. Then maybe I still have time, he says. She meets his gaze, something tender flickering beneath the caution. You really think we can do this? Blend all of this without breaking what's left? He glances through the window where Sky has fallen asleep on the couch, a blanket over her legs. We already are. Riley follows his gaze, her shoulders lowering. Then let's keep it that way. Later. After she leaves with the boys, Adrian stands by the window, the city's lights reflected in the glass. His phone buzzes. A message from May. Market confidence up 7% post-conference. Winterlink trending positively. He types back, Good. Let's keep the focus there. But as he sets the phone down, his eyes drift back to the scene burned into his mind. The 4 small beanies lined by the door, blue, red, green, and one tiny pink one. Symbols of everything fragile, imperfect, and fiercely worth protecting. He exhales, the tension finally releasing in a long, tired breath. For the first time in years, success doesn't look like headlines or valuation charts. It looks like a small kitchen table, 4 mismatched mugs, and the sound of laughter filling the quiet. A week later, the piece they've built trembles on the edge of something bigger. Adrian's assistant bursts into his office just after sunrise, face pale. Sir, you need to see this. She hands him a tablet. The screen shows a headline from a gossip finance blog, one designed to sting. Coal Systems faces. Questions about stability. CEO's secret family story spurs investor panic. The article scrolls through half-truths and speculation, suggesting Adrian's newfound personal distractions threaten the company's discipline before the IPO. Stock analysts quote unnamed sources. One line hits hardest. Leadership cannot serve 2 masters, public accountability and private sentiment. He exhales slowly, jaw tightening. Pull every ad buy, he orders. No PR rebuttals yet. I'll address this myself. May enters moments later, calm but deliberate. I expected this, she says, but there's a way to turn it. How? Lead with values, not defense. You're the face of a company that built an AI system to prevent hunger and waste. Let the story stay there. Family isn't the problem. It's the proof your values are real. Adrian's eyes narrow thoughtfully. You want me to double down. I want you to mean what you've said all along, May replies. You told the world last week that compassion built your company. Show them that wasn't a soundbite. He nods, tension settling into resolve. Schedule a live interview. Tonight. No teleprompter. I'll speak straight. That evening, cameras blink like patient eyes across a glass-walled studio overlooking downtown Denver. The interviewer, a seasoned anchor named Elise Monroe, leans forward as the red light flashes on. Mr. Cole, The public has seen your story evolve from private to very public. How do you respond to concerns that personal choices might compromise leadership? Adrian folds his hands on the table, his voice low but steady. Leadership, without empathy, is just control. My company builds technology that routes surplus food, predicts risk, saves lives when weather and systems fail. That work began with a simple belief. No one should be invisible. Not a single person. Elise raises a brow. You're saying your personal life strengthens your mission? I'm saying it proves it. His tone warms, sincere. When my daughter found 3 hungry boys in a thrift shop, I didn't see a headline. I saw failure, our system's failure, and if I can use what I have to correct that, then I'll do it. My children are not distractions. They're my compass. Elise studies him for a beat, perhaps expecting spin and finding none. And what about the rumors regarding Ms. Riley Hart? Adrian's eyes soften. She's the mother of my sons. She's brave, resilient, and has endured more than the public will ever know. If anyone deserves peace, it's her. That's all I'll say. Silence hums for a moment after he finishes. Even the studio crew seems to pause. Elise nods finally. Well said. The interview airs that night, and within hours, social feeds flood with clips. Comments turn supportive. Hashtags trend not with gossip, but gratitude. Winter link. Build with compassion. Hetiak 3 beanies in the snow. 2 mornings later, Adrian and Riley meet for coffee at a quiet cafe near Union Station. It's early enough that the world still yawns. The boys are at preschool, Sky at art club. The hum of espresso machines wraps around them like a soft barrier from the rest of the city. Riley stirs her cup slowly. You turned a scandal into a movement. He smiles faintly. You helped. I did nothing, she says. You lived your truth, he counters. That's more than most people do under a spotlight. Her expression softens. You know, for the first time in years, I'm not scared to walk outside. The boys sleep through the night now. Theo even stopped hiding his dinosaur under his pillow. That's how you measure progress, Adrian says gently. By what they stop fearing. She looks down, voice quieter. Do you ever get tired of fighting every battle with strategy and calm? He hesitates. Every day. But I'd rather build than destroy. For a moment, their silence feels like a truce wrapped in warmth, the kind that might grow into something steadier if given time. That afternoon, he takes Riley and the kids to a ribbon-cutting ceremony for Winterlink's first pilot site, a community hub designed to store surplus food from restaurants and distribute it daily to families in need. The warehouse gleams under pale sunlight, banners snapping in the wind. Sky holds a small pair of scissors, grinning. Jonah and Eli help her steady the ribbon. Theo claps, Dinosaur perched proudly on his shoulder. Riley stands beside Adrian, awe flickering across her face. You actually built it. He nods. You gave me the reason. When the ribbon cuts, applause ripples through the crowd. Employees, volunteers, reporters, everyday people. Adrian doesn't look at the cameras. He looks at the 4 children beside him, their laughter carrying farther than the microphones can. Riley murmurs, They'll never know how much this moment cost. Maybe not, Adrian says, but they'll know it mattered. That night, they all gather for dinner at the duplex. The kids chatter, arguing over syrup ratios and favorite songs. Riley pours cocoa into mugs, glancing at Adrian across the table. He catches her look and raises his glass slightly. To beginnings. She mirrors the gesture, voice quiet but sure. To keeping them. For the first time, she doesn't seem like someone waiting for the next storm. She looks like someone learning how to live in sunlight again. And for Adrian, That's all the victory he needs. The first hints of spring arrive early in Denver, sunlight lingering longer on the rooftops, the wind softer, almost kind. On a Sunday afternoon, Adrian drives to Riley's duplex with a box on the passenger seat, tied neatly with a ribbon. The kids are in the yard when he arrives, rolling a half-melted snowball down the driveway, arguing cheerfully about whether it still counts as a snowman if it doesn't have a head. Riley leans against the porch railing, coffee mug in hand, watching them. When Adrian steps out of the car, she raises an eyebrow. "You look like a man with a plan." "Guilty," he says, holding up the box. "Something for the family." The boys crowd around, eyes wide. "Is it a robot?" Eli asks. "Not this time," Adrian says, setting the box on the porch steps. "Open it." Riley kneels to untie the ribbon. Inside are 4 knitted beanies, blue, red, green, and one small pink one for Sky. Each has a tiny embroidered patch inside the logo with the children's initials, J.C., E.C., T.C., and S.C. Riley runs her thumb over the stitching, eyes misting. "You remembered the logo." 5 winters ago, Adrian says quietly. "The charity drive that started all of this. I thought maybe it was time to update the design." Sky gasps, pulling hers on immediately. "It's perfect." Jonah fits his blue one snugly. "They match." Eli grins. "Now we're the beanie team." Theo nods solemnly, clutching his dinosaur. And the dinosaur gets one too. Laughter breaks across the porch like sunlight through clouds. Riley blinks rapidly, trying to steady her breath. "You didn't have to do this." "I did," Adrian says softly. Some symbols deserve to be remade, not forgotten. There's something else in the box. A slim envelope, white, unmarked. Riley hesitates, then opens it. Inside is a digital keycard with a single address printed on it. Her brows knit. "What is this?" He meets her eyes. "It's a home, 2 blocks from Sky's school. A duplex, quiet, bright, safe. In your name, held in trust for the boys." Her lips part in disbelief. "Adrian, I can't." "You can," he says, his tone gentle but firm. "This isn't a gift. It's a foundation. You need stability. They need space to grow." She shakes her head slowly, emotion flooding her features. "You think throwing money fixes everything?" "No," he says quietly. "But sometimes it builds the ground we stand on while we fix ourselves." Riley stares at the keycard, fingers trembling. "It's too much." "It's not enough," Adrian replies. "But it's a start." She looks at him for a long, searching moment, as if weighing the sincerity in his face. Finally, her expression softens. "Then I'll accept it, on one condition." "Name it." "I start working again. Night classes, UX program at the community college. I rebuild on my own terms." Adrian smiles, something proud flickering through the fatigue in his eyes. "Deal." "Deal," she echoes. The kids have already moved on to their next adventure, racing around the yard with their new beanies, leaving streaks of laughter in their wake. Sky waves a stick like a wand. "Beanie team, assemble." Theo points his dinosaur skyward. "Roar means yes." Jonah adds, "Our mission, pancakes forever." Eli yells, "And no bedtime." Riley laughs. The sound rich and free. Adrian watches her, realizing how different her laughter sounds now. Less like defense, more like living. He steps beside her on the porch. "You know," he says softly, "I used to think success was about control, predicting chaos before it started. But lately, it feels more like this." He gestures to the yard, the noise, the imperfection, the joy. Maybe real success is surviving long enough to deserve peace. She glances at him. "You're getting philosophical in your old age." He grins. "Old?" "Distinguished," she corrects, teasing, "in a movie star with gray streaks kind of way." He laughs. I'll take that. They stand in silence for a while, watching their children tumble across the lawn, colors flashing in motion: blue, red, green, pink. 4 beanies. 4 lives woven back together by chance and choice. Riley tucks a strand of hair behind her ear. "You know what the hardest part is?" she says quietly. "Letting myself believe this might last." Adrian looks at her, the warmth in his voice steady. "Then, believe it a little more each day. That's how everything lasting starts." Her eyes meet his, something tender and hesitant flickering there. "You always did know how to make impossible things sound simple." He shrugs lightly. "I build systems. Hope just happens to be one of them." She laughs, shaking her head, but her hand finds his for just a heartbeat, long enough to say what neither of them dares to. The sun dips lower, washing the yard in gold. The children's shadows stretch long across the snow-speckled grass, tangled together and indistinguishable from one another. And for the first time in years, Riley doesn't feel like she's waiting for life to take something away. She feels it giving back. By late April, the snow has melted into rivulets that shimmer through the gutters, the air filled with the smell of thawed earth and early lilacs. Denver is reborn in soft color, and so, in their own quiet way, are they. On a Saturday morning, Adrian and Riley stand side by side at the community garden near Capitol Hill. The space hums with the chatter of volunteers and the sound of shovels striking damp soil. Rows of new saplings wait in black plastic tubs, their roots wrapped in burlap. The beginnings of a new outreach project, Winterlink's first Grow Forward initiative. Sky bounces on her toes, holding a small blue ribbon. "Daddy, can I tie this one?" Adrian smiles. "Of course. Peanut." Next to her, the triplets hover over their saplings. Jonah with the blue one, Eli with the red, Theo with the green. Each ribbon flutters in the breeze, bright splashes of color against the pale sky. Riley kneels between them, showing Theo how to tamp the soil with both hands. "Gentle, not hard," she says. "You don't need to crush the roots. Just help them feel at home." Theo nods solemnly. "Like us?" She looks up at Adrian then, smiling softly. "Exactly like us." When the planting's done, everyone gathers around for photos. Adrian stands behind the kids, one hand resting on Riley's shoulder. She doesn't flinch anymore. Her eyes are calm, her posture steady. A local reporter steps forward, mic in hand. "Mr. Cole, Winterlink's expansion into community gardens. What inspired this direction?" Adrian glances toward his children, their small hands still dusted with soil. "We started by fighting hunger. Now we're learning to grow something bigger. Roots, stability, community. These kids remind me every day that growth isn't about speed. It's about care." The reporter smiles. "Beautifully said." Riley leans toward him as the crowd drifts away. "You always know what to say when the cameras are rolling." He glances at her, voice quiet. "That one wasn't for them." She looks at him for a long moment, then smiles. "I know." That afternoon, they return to the duplex. The children collapse on the couch, a tangle of limbs and laughter. Riley steps into the kitchen to make tea. Adrian lingers by the window, watching sunlight scatter across the floor. "Your court order's officially permanent," May had told him yesterday. "Whitlow's sentence is sealed. He won't come near her again." For the first time in months, Adrian believes it. When Riley comes back with 2 mugs, she sets one on the table beside him. "You look like a man trying to remember how to relax." "Maybe I am," he says. "It's harder than I expected." "Try practice," she teases. "You're good at repetition." He laughs, the sound warm, effortless. "You're not wrong." They sit together on the couch, the weight of the last few months settling into something lighter. Outside, children's voices echo from nearby yards, life carrying on, indifferent to the pain it once held. Riley looks down at her mug. "You know what's strange?" she says quietly. "For so long, I thought running was strength. I thought surviving meant staying invisible. But now—" She shakes her head, smiling faintly. "Now it feels stronger to be seen." Adrian watches her, the admiration in his gaze unguarded. "You were never invisible, Riley. You were just out of sight long enough for me to remember how much seeing you mattered." Her eyes lift to meet his. For a moment, the air between them hums with something old and new at once. Recognition, forgiveness, maybe even love that never really left. She breaks the tension first, softly. "You're dangerous with words, you know that." He grins. "Occupational hazard." They both laugh, the sound easy and unforced. That evening, the children begs to sleep in the living room under a blanket fort. Sky insists on reading aloud from her favorite storybook while the triplets drowse beside her. Riley and Adrian linger in the doorway, listening. "Once upon a time," Sky reads, "there was a man who built machines that helped people, but his heart was still learning what it meant to fix things that didn't run on wires." Riley looks at Adrian, whispering, "That's you." He shakes his head. "That's us." Months later, the Winterlink annual report opens with a simple image. 3 saplings in the garden, ribbons blue, red, and green fluttering in the sunlight. Beneath it, a single line reads, "We plant not to replace what was lost, but to honor what survived." Riley reads the proof draft at her desk, a smile ghosting her lips. She's wearing her new UX badge around her neck. Her name printed in clean type beside her title, Senior Accessibility Designer, Cole Systems. The kids' laughter filters through the hallway as Adrian steps into her office, tie loosened, coffee in hand. "You ready for the board meeting?" She spins her chair toward him, mock sighing. "Still can't believe you made me an employee again." He smirks. "Correction. A partner." She raises a brow. "In the company or in life?" He pauses, grin deepening. "Yes." Riley laughs, the sound filling the room like sunlight through a window that's been closed too long. "You're impossible," she says, shaking her head. "And you," Adrian answers softly, "are why that's finally a good thing." Outside, spring wind rattles the glass, carrying the faint scent of lilacs. Down the block, the 3 saplings swayed gently, ribbons bright against the green, proof that even after storms, roots can take hold again. Inside, 4 children chase each other through the halls, their laughter echoing off the walls of a home built not on wealth or redemption alone, but on the slow, stubborn grace of second chances. And when Riley glances toward Adrian, their eyes meet, not with uncertainty anymore, but with quiet, shared understanding. They made it through the winter. And for the first time in a long, long while, both of them believe they can stay.